Hey everyone, I'm Jesse aka Redlack, and I'm making a strategy roguelike game called Blossom. I'd like to take you through the tactical side of playing as a battle poet, overcoming waves of demons by defeating them with strings of carefully selected poetry lines in combinations of 2 or 3. Now, keep in mind that pretty much everything I say in this video is subject to change, as the game is still a project in development. But for now, let's take a look at what I've designed so far, and at the end of the video I'll do a breakdown of my plans to take the ideas further. Let's get started. The main way that you'll be able to leverage your chosen poems to overcome enemies is by managing 3 attributes: hope, focus, and flow. Hope is essentially a shield. When enemies attack you, hope will sponge up as much of the damage as it can before running out. If you ever take more damage than you have remaining hope, you'll lose a health point. Focus is the currency you spend in order to recite your poetry lines. Think of it like mana in Hearthstone or energy in Slay the Spire. Flow is a special attribute, unique to Blossom. Whenever you recite a poem, your flow will deal damage to the leftmost enemy. This means that if you can build up enough flow over multiple turns, you can end up dealing massive compounding damage, but at the drawback of that damage only ever hitting the enemy who is furthest left in the turn order, giving you less control in targeting an enemy directly. Speaking of targeting, one of the significant choices you'll need to make on a turn-to-turn basis in Blossom is whether to target yourself with a battle poem or an enemy. When targeting yourself, all of the attributes contained within the poetry lines that you've selected will go to you. For example, if I choose the poem, "I am in mind, sparrows past the branches tearing," because "I am in mind" targets myself, and "sparrows past the branches tearing" contains 1 hope, I will be increasing my own hope by 1. However, if I choose to target an enemy with my poem, each keyword containing any of the 3 attributes will deal 1 direct damage. This is a faster way of dishing out some hurt to your opponents than building up flow over time, and also gives you more control, as you're able to select which individual enemy you want to attack, but it comes with the stipulation of dealing less total damage over long periods of time. Knowing when to build your own attributes up and when to attack enemies directly is one of the most important things to consider inside of combat. The adversaries you'll face in Blossom are unfairly strong in comparison to yourself. There are more of them than you, for one thing, and they have disproportionate strength and damage potential. Fortunately, you have one major advantage to help even the odds. Your enemy's actions are telegraphed multiple turns ahead of time. It's a design idea I got from Slay the Spire and Into the Breach. More on those games in the next devlog. When a demon is going to attack you for 3 damage, for example, you'll be warned before the attack comes of what exactly that shade is up to and when that action will take place. Because you know in advance what's coming, it allows you to combine your actions in ways that compensate and fill the gap between your level of power and theirs. Squeezing the maximum value and utilizing the most opportune timing for every poem is paramount to defeating your foes, and your best shot at making it through to the end. Since this is a roguelike game, you'll need to go back to the beginning after every failure and try again. This repetition means that you'll have the chance to keep experimenting with different uses of the same lines and figure out new ways to refine your strategies, a process similar, in my opinion, to actually writing and editing poetry. The theme of Blossom heavily ties into the desire to continually improve upon an action until it is a perfect expression of its intended purpose, contrasted with the reality of our own quirks and idiosyncrasies, adding a flavorful but inefficient obstacle to that perfection. This is really at the heart of why I wanted to make Blossom a roguelike. It's a game about trying to mix together the need for pragmatic excellence with the sometimes incoherent nature of human experience. The poetry lines that you learn and are able to use within each run are partially randomized. This means that you won't be able to lean back only on familiar strategies, but you'll be pushed to adapt and compensate for using what tools you have available to you at the time. Another layer of strategy that is randomly generated within the game are postures. These are passive effects that remain with you after you choose them and can have sweeping impacts on the effectiveness of certain tactical styles. For example, if you choose the Vigilant posture, it will give you a free extra point of flow whenever you begin a poem with 5 or more focus. This immediately incentivizes a particular playstyle because now you'll gain a powerful bonus for making sure that your focus never dips below the 5 mark, perhaps encouraging you to consider saving up your focus points rather than blowing them on short-term attempts to deal out early damage. Or, as another example, the assertive posture, which adds 1 additional damage to your poem whenever targeting an enemy directly. This adds a huge boost to your ability to mete out powerful attacks without necessarily needing to build up as much early game flow. But the part I'm really excited about with the addition of postures is that you can mix and match them. For instance, if you had chosen both vigilant and assertive, that might help you build a strategy around an early game buildup of flow, followed by a punishing mid-game explosion of direct attacks. You can already see how the myriad possible combinations of poetry lines and postures sets up a massive scope of potential strategies and playstyles. That is, you try to refine your strategies, you will be equally pushed to incorporate new ideas and find novel possibilities for your favorite combos. That's where I'm at with the design of the tactical side of Blossom. Moving forward, my plan is to further increase the scope of the game strategy by expanding the effects that poetry lines and enemy actions can have, which I didn't get into this video, but add an entire other layer of possibility by giving certain lines special, one-off abilities that can drastically change the state of the game. Coming up with interesting and balanced single-use powers is my next biggest priority for the strategy side of things. So, what do you think? If you have any ideas for features that you think could be fun in this sort of game, throw your ideas down in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.